Welcome to AKHAND Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Let's discuss what AKHAND MANAV, an integrated human being, the integrated form of the human body. Now, AKHAND MANAV is a bunch of multiple atoms, elements, molecules, compounds, cells, tissues, 10 organ systems, and integrated, intelligent, intuitive organism. Now let's start for the whole cell. The human cell is made of three parts: the cell membrane, cytoplasm, and the nucleus, as you can see in this picture very clearly. Then human cells are made of 21 parts. Cell membrane is 7 parts, cytoplasm 7 parts, nucleus 7 parts. Totally there are 21 parts. And this is how the cell is. There are 100 trillion cells and 200 different types, 100 billion neuron cells, and each neuron cell can make 20,000 memory synapses. Amount of potential in a perfect integrated human manav being is phenomenal from every angle, and I don't see people using more than 1 to 2%. Even the greatest of people have used 5, 7, 10%, but using 100% would be a perfect thing as a walking, talking encyclopedia, as this particular AKHAND MANAV is supposed to do. And with all respects, it centers around me, Shiv Bhushan Sharma. Now come to the question, one concept. One of the part of this 21 part is a centrosome, which is made of two centrioles, which become two separate at the time of first stage of creation. As a result, 21 cells become 22 cells, and the whole process starts thereafter for development thereafter. So 22 by 21 is the first stage of creation, which I have spoken about. And then there are 10 stages of development, and then 0.344 as the maturation to come to a stage that whole body becomes like a Devyank, equivalent to 1.618034. Now come to the perfect human being. As I told you, 10 organ systems, skeletons, 206 bones, is a perfect shield, movement, location. Muscles, skeletal, smooth and cardiac, which I have already spoken about. These are the things which are going to give you. Rest of the organs we will take it one by one. But keeping in mind this integrated skeleton system and human being, I am talking about now AKHAND MANAV as a person who has a perfect skeleton, perfect muscles and perfect form to start with before we discuss with the rest of the things. Now come to the question of human creation and growth. Ovum and sperm get together to form zygote, and after 1.5 days of rest, this zygote starts dividing into two parts: 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. It goes through the process for 8 days, and finally the stage gets implanted in endometrium in 8 days. If it does not, that next period starts. So this is very important part in the human physiology as far as conception, development and growth within the mother's womb is concerned. And in the process, the stages come when the child is developed into 3 phases, which I am going to show to you. This is the integrated form of the human being. First is the ectoderm, from which skin and nervous system, eyes develop. Mesoderm are the muscles and skeleton, which I have already spoken. Endoderm, inner organ, we are going to discuss as we move on. But in this particular process, I say person with ectoderm, which is the ectomorph, mesoderm, mesoform, endomorph, which 3 independent things. But there can be a person who has all the 3 within himself, who is a perfect in skin, eyes, nervous system and all muscle skeleton, just like a perfect 21 years person, and also all the internal organs, digestive, respiration and otherwise, all the 10 systems are perfect in him, and he has absolutely no problem with homeostasis, even if it's in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 plus plus plus. He can maintain an equilibrium of homeostasis perfectly as a walking talking encyclopedia and person perfection, and that is what is AKHAND MANAV all about. I think you can understand he is not into ectomorph or mesoform or endomorph alone. He is not those. But anyway, let us see those things and how finally person with perfection would be like. Now, as I've seen, these are the three different parts, males and female. How the ectomorph will look like is the left side, mesomorph in the middle, endomorph the right side. You can see the three different forms are put together as such in different forms, and you can see person who's an ectomorph will be very intelligent, intuitive, intellectual person, but will lean of that. We are going to show you that. The second one, mesomorph, it has lot strong muscles like a skeletal muscles and other thing which I am going to show it to you. Endomorph will have a different thing. Now with this thing we'll see how these things put together in one person could have a balance as such. Now come to the question, ectomorph, which is endoderm. Skin, eyes and nervous system is a lean person, slender body, narrow shoulders, hips, long lips and fast metabolism is something. Ectomorph often have difficulty gaining weight or muscle mass and have delicate bone structure. They are very delicate, very intelligent, but they haven't taken care of the muscles as such. This is the one question which comes to mind. The person could be very intelligent but could be weak in muscles and internal organs, will not be a perfect human being. That is the point. And you can see the body of that person is lanky. Other thing you can see, you have seen people, these kind of characters who have not fully equipped in everything would have an issue. Now comes to the mesomorph human bodies. A mesomorph body type is characterized by a naturally athletic and muscular build, medium bone structure and efficient metabolism, and make it build skeletal system, muscles and burn fat. He will be perfectly like sports person, very dynamic, very thin. Typically have broad shoulders, narrow waist and the long sturdy physique, and then often excel in sports like gymnastics and swimming. That's it. The body type responds well to both strength and training and builds skeletal muscles and cardiovascular resistance gamma. These are the middle people who are into sports and other things very clearly, and you see those people as such. And this will be the structure of the person, well built, not lanky like the first person. But endomorph is a body type characterized by a rounder shoulder, soft physique and well tendency to gain both fat and skeletal muscles. People with this body type often have a wider, stockier bone structure, higher body weight and slower medium, and making it easier to gain weight and harder to lose. And then they typically store fat in the lower abdomen, hips and things. Now you can see this paper very clearly everywhere. And I would say from my experience as a doctor, as an individual, most of the people who grow older, they tend to put on weight and put on weight both in the abdomen and lower side, and it is the water which is finally converted into fat, and fat content comes as a result. You feel the water content is this, and most of the people, and these are the people think. Now in this process you can see the picture. This picture you can see, this is how the endomorph will be. Now all the three things I have spoken very clearly, each individually as such. Then you will find them expert in one field or the other only. Most of them are into one. As I told you in the beginning, 100% potential is not found in them. They'll be expert in one field or other. See, like for that matter, ectoderm people will be more inclined to mathematics, physics, chemistry, those science subjects. They'll be more interested in that, and as a result, they will not take part in sports, they will not take part in activities, they will be more like a classroom structures, and you can't see them out. Now comes the question of sports. They'll be only interested in sports, will not be interested in studies. Is also something which we say. They say, okay, I am good in this, let me do that. Why? What are we going to see? Finally, other decisions become you take one side or the other at a time, not all the subjects. Similarly, with endomorphic, there will be more input. See, the first will be like a Brahmins, second will be like Kshatriyas, like the sports people and administrators like that, and these people will be more by business people. But I do believe individual who can maintain all the three things within himself. He could be super intelligent, eyes will be perfect, and he will be able to make 100% part of the brain, and I would say he could be a walking talking encyclopedia. He could produce 8 hertz frequency throughout the brain with eyes open. That's one part. Brilliant to the core. He would know all the 64 arts and sciences. There will be not even a single subject which he does not know. That is one part. Second thing, when it comes to the sports activities like mesomorph, he'll be perfectly healthy, no extra weight, chest and abdominal difference will be 6 inches like a perfect model. He'll have a perfect muscles, he can walk strongly, he can take part in any sport he wants. He could play cricket, he could play this, he could do that. He will be a towards sports person also as an intelligent, intuitive person one side. At the same time, his internal organs would perfectly, even when he is older. Even such a person with a thing going around will not affect him. He will not fall sick. He will not need medicines. He will not do anything, but he will be perfectly healthy. He will be pure vegetarian. No drinking, no smoking, no drugs, nothing at all is required. He could be a perfect A to Z, and that exactly is my point of person who I consider is AKHAND MANAV. He is a perfect in every angle. Now you can understand that person even in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80, 90, 100 would have a biochemistry of the same thing which is ideal in 21 years person. If you can maintain that in 70s, 80s, all your blood sugar is perfect, your blood pressure is perfect, respiration is perfect, oxygen concentration is perfect, all the vitamins perfect, your homeostasis is perfect, you are as young as that. And such a person who is AKHAND MANAV would know how to deal with a 1-year child, 2 years, 3 years, even age, middle age, old age. He can go very well with them because he has experienced A to Z of every subject. And that is the person would be a person who will be able to do wonders. And I myself as Shiv Bhushan Sharma had tried my level best to be an all-rounder. And when you are all-rounder, you take part in every activity, you are not averse to anything, but you are not aligned to anybody, but move on from group to group, not associate with one thing or other. This is what I say non-aligned. He is not into one group or other thing, but he can take part in anything. He learns from everybody, he appreciates good in all those people and learn from them and try to bring that one by one in his life and say yes, I can be very intelligent, very intuitive, question everything and learn A to Z the entire universe on one side. I can take part in all the sports, I can take part in administration, I can take part in everything, and that person would not be falling sick. His energy level will be the way he wants it. Once that is done, I think you are in a perfect way of going to say we are a perfect human being, and that is AKHAND MANAV as such. Now to come to question of seeing some of the examples in AKHAND MANAV, which is the mathematical design. And this is where human bones and bone structure as such, and I put the head in the mind. That means that his head would have 22 bones, out of which 21 are fixed, and one is that, and that is the mandible which gives an expression. I have already explained. He would have a perfect head with the balance without any problem whatsoever. Now come to the question of integrated person. As this picture I have shown in the thumbnail is a human being. For example, if you take my case of 174 height, half is from head to left side, you see head to chest, the heart is 25%, heart to tailbone is 25%, tail to knee is 25%, and this that balance, if this is done very well in that him. And similarly, when come to the other side, navel and down is 61.80%, navel to hub is 38.1%, and he'll have no difficulty. He would, in this person, in different part, all the universal laws will be applicable to him, and he'll have absolutely no problem whatsoever. This is one thing which is very clear. Second comes the question of, let's understand, as I told you, the human head and the face bones. Their head form has got 8 bones and face are 13 fixed and 1 free. That means 22 into 21 is the formula in this. That means that is the first stage of creation. The man who has this perfect, without any difficulty in any of the bones, structure is very clear. He would have a perfect brain, perfect thinking and perfect expression by and large. He is an all-rounder. Down I have shown the structure of his head, and the person who is vibrant with internal consciousness, right up to 21 years or 22 years, the sutures will not close. After 22 years they will close, but in this particular person, once the suture close, sutures will not be flat. Suture will be more like pyramidal structure. That we can say the person is intelligent, he is working with internal indwelling soul, Aditi you call it, and Kundalini you call it, Antaratma you call it. When that is working very well, in that particular person, when his sutures close after 22 years, he will have a little on that, because from that inside pressure is going up and coming down, and his structure will show. You can find from the, put the hand on the head and you will find his central bone will be like a pyramid going up, and I think that's the point which I want to make it clear. Now come to the question of the integrated human being. As I told you, central part, head 22 bones, chest or vertebral column 30 bones, and chest cage 25. There are 77 bones on the left side which are centrally toward the axis portions as core central part. Right at the center you can see this picture. On the left side you have 77 bones, but on the right side you have the both bones of the arms as well as legs. Both arms put together you have 64 bones, and both the legs put together 62 bones. Together you have 126 bones. Now the question comes of divine mathematics. As I told you, head has got 22, 21 is a Brahmank, the first is the creation. But when come to the 77 and 126 put together, as I have shown, 126 divided by 77 is equivalent to Divyank only. That is amazing part. Once that is done, means you are very close to the divine design. Your structure, as I showed you, if maintained, then you will have no problem at all, and you keep yourself very flexible. Let me tell you, if this particular person at whether 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, 90, even 100 will be as flexible as possible. His abdomen will be perfect. You can see like 6 pads or 8 pads, and he will be able to do all the exercises in all the vertical position which you expect from a AKHAND yogi. He is very flexible, very adaptable, and things will be wonderful by and large. Once you do that, I think you are perfectly in tune with internal and external balance by and large. Then come to the question of the muscles. And there are 3 forms of muscles: skeletal, smooth and cardiac muscles. And now the skeletal muscles are voluntary in nature. They attach to the bones and tendons. In that particular person, all the bones as well as muscles will be as strong even in 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 100, maybe 1000 times better than the youngster you can see. And these fibers will be fantastic, and they would be able to function very well. Mobility is very good, the weight pressure is very good from every angle. Even in 70, they will be as good as 20s and 30s only. The decline in muscle power will not be there. And that is the point which I am talking about. And then these are the front and back muscles. We are not going to get into details of this. Now comes to the smooth muscles. Smooth muscles are involuntary, whereas non-striated, and found in the walls of the hollow organs like the stomach, intestine and blood vessels. They are responsible for slow, sustained contraction that help the body function for digestion, blood pressure regulation. Also the eyes. Unlike skeletal muscles, they are not under conscious control. They are regulated by autonomic nervous system. That means their chakras by and large are controlled with the autonomic nervous system, with the cranial parasympathetic, sympathetic and sacral parasympathetic be perfect in them. They'll be very vibrant, and this will make sure that homeostasis is perfectly fine. And these are the stomach cells. You can see the unstriated part and continuous as such, which are different from skeletal muscles. You can also see the autonomic nervous system controlling and how they do very well, and as they function for all digestion, absorption, assimilation, everything centers around this from digestive system. That's the reason digestive system have its own seventh level of thing as a pacemaker in the stomach, and which is responsible for peristaltic movement after eating from stomach to the anus one by one, step by step in the process, perfectly normal, no at all, and that person would be perfectly close to only vegetarian. He will never take non-vegetarian, he will never do something because he is in tune with universal. His body will tell you, you have to be vegetarian, no smoking, no drinking, no alcohol, nothing at all. He is automatically controlled with autonomic nervous system to maintain himself perfectly well. Now comes to the question of this is arteries and veins put together or with the smooth muscles. That's the result. These systems work through the body from top to the bottom, and they are controlled by the sympathetic system, and smooth muscles with sympathetic system are the one which protect you from A to Z, from bleeding to all the problems. And that is what I said. This she will have no difficulty in maintaining. If there is a cut, bleeding will stop. His whole system of everything A to Z, from red blood cells to WBCs to immunity, is perfect. Circulation will be perfect. Amount of blood, sugar, blood content, everything will be perfect. All the hormones will be perfect. Everything will be perfect in that particular person. Eyes will be fine. He will not need glasses even in 70s, 80s, 90s and 100s. He'll be able to see things without any added thing. And his size of this particular person by and large will be like 22 by 21 only. Depth 25 millimeter and height 24 is ideal in that particular person. And then whole structure is with the 10 stages here too, as you have the 10 stages in the heart. In the eyes also, retina has got 10 layers, and I think this is a perfect ideal. He'll have no difficulty in seeing in bright light as well as dark night, perfectly A to Z. Now come to the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles are involuntary like smooth muscles, striated muscles, not unstriated, and they are found only in the heart, and that are responsible for pumping blood throughout the body. And particularly the muscles in the left ventricle are much stronger than the right ventricles are thing. They form the mitochondrium, the multiple layers, and all composed of the branch cells that contract, and as a result contract, and these are the muscles which function from second week of gestation or 7 months of pregnancy right till up to this, and as a result cardiac muscles will never be weakened because they use fatty acids, unlike skeletal muscles which use glucose, which can get converted into pyruvic acid, but fatty acid will not have the problem. It will produce ATP 2.25 times more than what glucose and protein can produce, and that is what the cardiac muscle become much more stronger by and large. And this is the structure of the thing. You can see the atrial contraction is systole is 0.1 second and diastole is 0.8 seconds, and that is beautiful. Whereas in ventricle contraction, systole is 0.3 seconds and diastole 0.5. This is according to Divyang. First according to Bing. So that way this is a beautiful size by and large to produce how these muscles by and large give you food. And such a person who has all the three in him, that person would not need any dependent. He can do A to Z work on himself. He does not need a servant. He does not need anything as such. That profession will be able to do every job comes soever. He will be a good karma yogi, good action yoga, thought process. He would know A to Z of everything by and large. In him, internal organs, external organs, observation, essential, memory, this will be perfect by and large. Now come to the last stage. In this particular thing, everything is covered. This man's mind will be powerful, go to any extent, and see the entire universe within him. He will know the divine mathematics, he will know the divine physics, he will know the divine chemistry, he will know the divine biology, he will be a divine in human anatomy, he will know A to Z everything. And best example is Shibhushan Sharma. He is the only medical person who knows the female menstrual cycle. No one in the whole world has ever known. Similarly, he is the only person who talks of divine mathematics as the Divyank, which no one in the history of man has ever known before 2015. Similarly, he has converted all the languages into mathematics and symbolic language, as you can see, and converting that mathematics and symbol into a new language and translate it to other subjects is as easy as possible. And he would be able to integrate the whole knowledge from school, college, university in such a way that every defect of maths, physics, chemistry, biology and medical sciences is eliminated, and he will be in a position to guide everybody from every subject to this. He could be an ideal democrat, he could be ideal in administration, he could be ideal in A to Z. And once that is done, but unfortunately everybody has to accept and reach that level that he is thinking of good of everybody, not as one thing. He is not dividing in the name of religion, culture, nation, otherwise. He wants the entire human being society to be as perfect as designed by nature, and that exactly is the objective of AKHAND MANAV, and that what I have also taken AKHAND Yogi, or for that matter walking talking encyclopedia for good of everybody. And I would say three forms are separate, but all the three are together, and he is a completely integrated. Only a bad person could be a perfect A to Z. And I think that's enough for the day. Thank you very much.